Godzilla vs. Kong, a radioactive mutant lizard that emerges from the water to wreak havoc against a huge gorilla who falls in love with a blonde. Many will say that both of these movies' characters don't stand up to any serious scientific criticism. However, the image of one of them was based on a book from 1861, which contains real stories from the life of African tribes, and the image of another inspired scientists to name a creature in its honor, which was, until recently, unknown to science. According to John Goodman's character from a previous film in the same franchise,
monsters exist.
Let's find out if this is possible and who would actually win the fight. Godzilla versus Kong versus real life. 36 feature films were made about Godzilla, 4 of which were made in Hollywood. The rest were made by the Japanese TV studio Toho. The script of all the films is based on the tragedy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, a leitmotif that is repeated aloud by almost all the characters. Godzilla is a beastmaster who appeared back in the Jurassic period. His age, 150 to 200 million years. The animal's real name is Gojira. It comes from the combination of 2 Japanese words, gorilla and whale. This is truly a king of monsters. According to legend, it was awakened by an atomic bomb during the Second World War, which is why it now feeds on atomic energy, sensing it from hundreds of miles away. Godzilla, an erect dinosaur whose skin resembles the burnt skin of victims of an atomic explosion. Its main weapon is radioactive rays from its mouth, spine, and tail. The height of Godzilla is 355 feet. That is, he's only slightly taller than London's Big Ben. The weight of this monster, about 90,000 tons, which is about half the supply of the gold ever mined by mankind. Godzilla cannot be killed with weapons of mass destruction. The monster is undefeatable against evil. He is evil himself.
It's Godzilla.
Yes, but could such a monster live and function in the real world? To feed such a lizard, it would have to consume 215 million calories a day. If Godzilla decided to feed on people, then every day we'd have to sacrifice 2,000 of our fellow citizens to him. But it's not just the lizard's incredible appetite that would be a problem for him. His body wouldn't be adapted to the Earth's gravity. At a height of 108 meters, Godzilla's heart wouldn't be able to pump such a huge volume of blood. The force of gravity would also affect his bones. Even if we assume that his skeleton was made of heavy-duty material like adamantium, in real life, we could expect Godzilla to have serious back problems. Of course, in the ocean, the Titan would feel a little better. The water would partially support his weight. For the same reason, ordinary whales can also reach an impressive size. However, when Godzilla took a step onto shore, with his foot he would create pressure on the solid surface. Under this weight, his bones might just crack. And since pain passes through the nervous system at a speed of about 24 inches per second, Godzilla could die even before the pain signals reached his brain. It seems the laws of physics are merciless to our favorite movie monsters, but maybe all's not yet lost. We need Kong.
The world needs him.
The white heterosexual male is right. After all, gorillas exist in the real world. However, they're much smaller. Kong from the movie Kong Skull Island was tall, 31.7 meters. The spire of the Empire State Building, which Kong so likes to climb, reaches a height of 62.2 meters. That is, the modern movie gorilla would overcome it in one reach. Kong's weight is 108 tons. That makes it approximately 18 times heavier than an elephant. According to Jonathan Payne, a paleobiologist at Stanford University, King Kong isn't a physically viable organism. To take a typical 350-kilogram Western gorilla and just increase its size by 20 times would be physically impossible. The skeleton and muscles of such a creature wouldn't be able to withstand its mass. In the past, the animal world could boast of more impressive creatures in size. Dinosaurs like Titanosaurus weighed almost 80 tons, which is 10 times the weight of today's African elephants. But they were still far from the fictional King Kong. In real giant animals, the skull and brain would be disproportionately small. They would suffer from shortness of breath, wouldn't live long, and be foolish because their brains wouldn't be any larger than those of sauropods, the size of a walnut. Or with large sizes, they would explode from blood pressure as soon as the poor guys decided to bend over, and would abruptly straighten up. He would lose his lungs. The pressure would rupture his pulmonary arteries. As you can see, in real life, both titans, if they entered the ring, would be in very bad condition. What do you say, John Goodman? Have you changed your mind?
Monsters exist.
Well, Godzilla and Kong may indeed exist in real life, but in a slightly different form. More recently, a new species of parasitic wasp was discovered in Japan that can swim underwater. This species is called Microgaster Godzilla for a number of reasons. First, the mutant lizard is one of the most recognizable symbols of Japanese modern culture. Second, Godzilla emerges from the water in most stories to wreak havoc. Microgaster Godzilla lays eggs in other insects, beetles, butterflies, aphids, true bugs, as well as in their larvae. The Godzilla offspring then gradually kill their host and feed on its flesh. However, until now, researchers didn't know exactly how the parasites managed to get to the creatures that live in the water. The idea to study this issue in more detail came to the mind of one of the authors of a new work, Jose Fernandez Triana, when he studied the caterpillars of the species Elophila turbata, which are found in the urban ponds of Japan. It turned out that in search of a suitable victim for laying female parasites, it first walks on the leaves of aquatic plants, and finding a caterpillar scares it, forcing it to move into the water. Godzilla dives after the victim, quickly inserts an ovipositor into the victim's body, and lays offspring. Some may not even drive the caterpillar out of its shelter, but simply pierce the wall with their ovipositor. But while Godzilla looks much less intimidating in real life, the story of the real Kong seems more creepy than all the films about him combined. Marion C. Cooper, director of the original film from 1933, in the audio commentary of the film, says that his obsession with primates began when he was 6 years old and his uncle gave him a book, A Journey to Inner Africa. The author of the book, Paul Chaillu, was one of the first researchers who went to the continent and documented many incredible facts at that time. The future director was most impressed by the descriptions of the gorilla tribes that from time to time attacked the villages of the indigenous people. The images from the book were so etched into his memory that they wouldn't let him go for the rest of his life. The book from 1861 really contains a story about two women of the Mbandemo tribe who were walking through the jungle returning to the village when suddenly a gorilla appeared in their path. A huge gorilla. The gorilla grabbed one of the women with its hands and, despite their screams and attempts to escape, dragged one of them into the thicket. The tribe went on a fruitless search. The woman was presumed dead, but a few days later she returned to the village on her own. According to her, the gorilla abused her, but the woman managed to escape. Paul de Chaillu describes in the book the special tribes of gorillas which, according to local residents, were possessed by the spirits of their dead tribe members. Such gorillas are much larger in size, and it's almost impossible to catch or, moreover, kill them. Their intelligence is much higher than that of other primates of the same species. They combine the cunning and resourcefulness of man with the power and fury of a beast. So, who'd win Godzilla versus King Kong in real life? If we assume that somehow magically these two movie characters came to life to fight to the death, then their real fight would have some comical limitations. Godzilla would be afraid to get out of the water because his spine would break. King Kong would be afraid to bend over and make sudden movements because he has pressure problems. The two titans would likely spend a long time trying to provoke each other into a first strike. The shouting calls could last for about, say 68 hours. By the way, that's how long it would take to review all the Godzilla and Kong movies. On the fourth day, Godzilla decides to jump out of the water. Kong delivers a powerful blow to the head. With the last of his strength, Godzilla releases a powerful nuclear pulse. Godzilla wins, but because of the laws of physics, both die. Of course, despite all the scientific inaccuracies, we still go to the movies to entertain our imagination. But if instead of going to the movies, you had only two options for entertainment, swimming in the ponds of Japan or walking in the African jungle, you would make your choice, knowing that
Monsters exist.